Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome back for another episode. This is Frank Agin, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections, and I'm your host of the Networking RX podcast. Before we get started, remember we're looking to add quality people to our stable of franchisees. This is a unique franchise opportunity in that it's geared for an aspiring entrepreneur or professional to add on to what they're already doing. Again, all of our franchisees do something else. For just a couple hours in the morning, a few mornings a week, our franchisees operate the AmSpirit Business Connections program. The rest of their week, they're accountants, attorneys, financial advisors, realtors, coaches, and consultants of various kinds. If you're interested, contact me. There's an email in the show notes, or use the one we provide at the end of the podcast. Today I want to share with you a story that goes back a number of years. It was probably in the late 90s. I was still practicing law, and I was working with a particular client. And I don't need to get into what the situation was with the client. That's attorney-client privilege. I can't get into that, and it really doesn't matter, to be honest. But what I can tell you about this client is that this client is a physician. She's a research physician at Nationwide Children's Hospital, which is here in Columbus, Ohio. And what I can tell you about Nationwide Children's Hospital, or really any children's hospital across the country, and there's lots of great ones out there, is it's catering to bad situations. Kids don't go there for their annual checkup. They don't go there if they've got a bad cold. They don't go there if they've got the flu. They don't go there if they've got a bad case of poison ivy. Parents take their kids to a children's hospital, again, any one of the networks of children's hospitals around the country, when they're in a desperate situation. It's a life-threatening situation. It might be cancer. It might be some sort of organ that's not functioning properly, blood diseases. I mean, it runs the gamut, and I don't want to get into all the gore and that. But that's what's happening at those children's hospitals. And so I tell you this because I wanted to make the point of this is what my client saw every day. She had a great life. She has a great life. She's still alive. She has a great life, great husband. That's how I met her. But in her profession, she is on the front line of literally saving children's lives, on the front line of seeing some kids just not make it, seeing some kids not be able to have a normal, healthy life like most kids have. So at any rate, I was meeting with her, and again, it doesn't matter what it was, but we were just kind of talking. And I remember that I was in kind of a particular situation where I was not frustrated, but I had a client. It wasn't her, it was another client. I had a pro bono client, something that was assigned to me through the court system, and I don't need to get into that, but it was something that was assigned to me, so it was pro bono, so I wasn't getting paid for it, and it was something that was somewhat frustrating to me. There was a lot there, and when people need help, they need help, and they expect a lot. And I remember being really, really frustrated and just kind of being run around by this client that I really wasn't getting paid on anyways. And I made a remark to my client, the research physician at Children's Hospital. I made a remark that she immediately responded to, and that response hit me right between the eyes. And my remark related to my pro bono client, and my remark was simply this: geez, I better get my reward in heaven. And her response to me was, Frank, you've already got your reward. You have 3 beautiful, healthy kids. And she was right. She was right. I mean, it just stopped me dead in my tracks. And thinking about it, this was probably in the early 2000s because my youngest was born in August of 99. But I have 3, I call them 3 great kids. As I record this, they are all in college. They're all doing well. They've all been blessed with health. I've had my challenges with my kids. Who doesn't have challenges with your kids? It's, pick up their room and blah, 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 whatever it might be. Little run-ins here and there. But all in all, I got great kids and they're healthy. who am I to ask for anything more? Who was I to ask for anything more in that situation based on what she saw? And I've often thought about that, and we all kind of get into these funks where we're looking for something. I talk on this podcast series about, hey, we need to do things for other people. We need to try and help other people. And we get into these funks where it's like, well, I'll do something, but what's in it for me? And we need to stop and remind ourselves is that we've probably already got something for our efforts. Stop and look at your life. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you are blessed. You have a phone. You've got a car to play this through, or you got a computer. You're blessed. And so I know it's easy. Trust me, everything I'm saying here, I need to hear for myself. But it's easy to kind of, again, get into that funk where it's like, well, I don't know if I should do any more for anybody. I'm not getting anything out of this. Or try to be real calculating or strategic with the things that we do. And the reality is we can't be that way. You can't measure life like that. You have to really kind of approach things with a sense of gratitude and that you have wonderful things happening in your life. And if you have the opportunity to do something for someone else that really doesn't cost you other than maybe 5 minutes of your time, or maybe just a little bit of money or just a few resources, you need to stop and do it. You need to stop and do it and not worry about what might be coming back to you, but just stop and take a deep breath and be thankful for what you have and just chalk what you're doing up to something that's happened in the past and not worry about how this is going to come back to you. Life is so much simpler if we just do things and not worry about what's come of that. Just do things. Go give somebody a recommendation on LinkedIn, or just do things for other people. Do things for other people and stop worrying about what's coming back to you. Stop worrying about how it's all going to fit together. Stop worrying about, in my case, hoping I get my reward in heaven. The rewards are all here on earth, and chances are you've already gotten them. I know I have. I've got 3 great kids.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connections. All rights reserved.